We're going to focus in this video on working with the answer key in a quiz. If you've gone into settings and selected that your form be made into a quiz, you're going to be able to include an answer key and also assign point values. So let's take a look at a way to do this. First of all, in order to get to the answer key portion, you'll need to click on the answer key and points link. You'll then go into an answer key mode where you'll be able to put in your correct answers and assign it points. If your question is a short answer, you're going to want to include all the possible correct answers that could be the answer for your question. In this example, I'm looking for a main character's name, so I need to make sure that I put all of the different ways that that might be typed by my students. So I've added several correct answers, which means if they type in any of these forms of Charlie, it will mark it correct. If I want anything other than these four to be marked incorrect, I can click this box and this will mark everything else incorrect. Over on the points section, I now can give this particular question points. You'll notice as you add points, the total value of your form will be at the top of your form. So this particular question I'm going to make worth 5 points. When I'm finished with adding my points and also adding my answers, another thing that I want to bring your attention to is feedback. You'll notice that I have the ability to provide instant feedback for responses on questions. So I'm going to click on Add Answer Feedback. So as soon as the student has answered the question, I can give them feedback. So you can type in the feedback and add any links or videos that may help your student access resources relevant to this question. So I'm going to click Done. So now you'll notice that I have gotten my correct answer showing up here and my point values. Again, if this is a required question, you'll want to toggle on Required. So now I'm moving on to a paragraph type of question. When you are using a paragraph type question in a quiz, you can click on the answer key and you won't be able to enter possible answers, and that's because it's extremely difficult to auto grade anything that's an open-ended long answer question. What you can do and should do is give it point values and add feedback if needed. So I'm going to say, because this is more open-ended, I'm going to give this a 10-point question value, and if I want to add feedback, again, I can add my feedback and click Done. So now I have answer key here, I have answer key here, and then I'm going to come on down. So now let's take a look at a multiple choice question type with regard to a quiz. You'll notice I have the ability to click answer key below, and this time what you're able to do is actually select the correct answer. So in this particular question, I'm going to select anti-hero, give it its point value, and then I'm going to click on answer feedback. One of the things you'll notice that's different in a multiple choice question is you have the option to give incorrect answer feedback and correct answer feedback. So for correct answers, I want to just put great job. That's what I can put for correct answers, but for incorrect answers, I might want to put a link to some additional resources on anti-heroes or maybe a video that I have, and I could say for some extra help, watch this video or click on this link. So it shows my feedback as well. So I'm going to click Done so that I get back to the edit mode of the question, and you'll see that I've marked that question and given it points. One tip I'm going to give you as I'm moving through here is you'll notice I'm starting at the top of my quiz and going down. When you're creating a quiz, sometimes it's hard to think about putting your questions in and putting your correct answers and quiz point values. So I always go back and do this as the last effort. That way, even if I was trying to add them as I go, I'm going through each question from top to bottom to make sure I've given it points and correct answers as needed. So let's look at our next question. So for this next question, when I go down and click on the answer key, I'm going to choose multiple answers to be correct. So when I'm looking for oviparous animals, I'm going to go ahead and click on all the animals that lay eggs. I'm going to go ahead and give this 5 points. Again, noticing that my total points value goes up each time, and I can add my answer feedback for incorrect and correct answers here as well. So again, if I wanted to give them some support and where to go to find out more about oviparous versus viviparous, I could do that as well and click Save. So I'm going to go ahead and click Done on that question and move on to my next question. For our next question, we have the answer key, and this is a true/false. So I can simply say false, give it our point values, and click Done. So you see how easy this is. Now for a question like an upload image situation, which is our upload file, you can go to the answer key and you can provide the answer key with points and provide feedback, but of course you can't really have a correct or incorrect answer. That's something that you're going to have to check by hand. Moving on down to our multiple choice grid, you'll notice I have an answer key. The only thing you can do here is provide points for each row. Again, because this is a ranking question, you can't give it a correct or incorrect response, but you can provide point values for completing each section. If this is just something that's an opinion, you can choose to have it be no point value, which is what I'm going to do in this case. Moving on down to the checkbox grid, you'll see the same thing. When I click on the answer grid, I'm able to give it points or not and click Done. Those are my only options. For questions that are dates, you can go to the answer key and you can give it points and feedback, but this will not automatically grade. So if you were looking for a way to grade on what date was the last presidential election, you could do a multiple choice question and put several incorrect responses and a correct response, and that way you could set it to auto grade. Same thing for time. You cannot actually put a correct time, but I could use multiple choice and put some of the correct time along with some incorrect times and have it auto grade that way. So this is how you go through and give your point values and mark your correct answers with regard to a quiz. When you're finished adding all your point values and selecting any correct questions and adding any feedback for correct or incorrect responses, you'll notice your final total points at the top. This is what it would take to get a perfect score, is to get 40 out of 40. If your settings are the way you want them to be, then your quiz is ready for distribution.